It's mise on Seanchaidh, and this is Thistle Stone. The waters of the Highlands do not sleep, they remember. Beside the burns, the fords, and the peat-dark pools, something ancient waits, beautiful as moonlight, patient as stone, hungry as winter. When the mist coils thick and the moon bleeds silver across the surface, the Kelpie rises. First a ripple, then a shadow, then the shape of a horse so beautiful it stops the heart. Mane of starlit water, eyes like drowned suns, coat blacker than the space between stars. It stands on the shore as though the water itself has learned to walk. Only the old ones notice the hooves turned wrong. This is the school of the Kelpie, the water horse whose song is both cradle and grave. It's mise on Seanchaidh, and this is Thistle Stone, Cuimhnich. It comes from the cold hollows of the other world, where the rivers begin before they have names. Sometimes it is a stallion, tall as a standing stone, hooves ringing on wet stone. Sometimes it is a youth, with river weed in his hair, and a smile sharp enough to cut moonlight. Always it is beautiful. Always it is listening for the footstep that should not be there. A child chasing a lost lamb through the reeds. A warrior drunk on victory and whiskey, riding home alone. A lass gathering water at twilight, humming a tune older than sorrow. The Kelpie hears them all, and when it sings back, the voice is inside the blood, inside the bone, impossible to refuse. The Kelpie of Loch Garve is one of the oldest remembered. Loch Garve lies unassuming among the hills, a mile of peat-black water, hiding depths no line has touched. Beneath it, they say, the Kelpie kept a cold house and a stolen human bride who shivered in the dark. A stonemason once wandered near the black water and saw a grand black stallion waiting by the shore. One touch of its wet mane and the world turned cold. Down he went beneath Loch Garve, where no man should breathe. At the bottom, he did not drown. The Kelpie stood before him, eyes burning gentle, and spoke with a voice like water over gravel. Build a chimney to warm my weeping bride, or your bones stay forever. So the mason built beneath the water, stone by stone, breath by borrowed breath. When the chimney reached almost to the surface, the Kelpie returned him safely with a basket full of fish. Since then, one patch of Loch Garve never freezes, and the water still breathes the heat below. There was a night beside a black Highland pool when the water lay flat as polished iron. A young rider, proud from the Sheeling Games, spurred his garron down to drink. The horse shied, the rider laughed, until he saw the other horse waiting, black and gleaming, bridle of silver kelp, eyes burning gentle. He swung up bareback, because no Highlander ever refused a finer beast. The moment his hand touched the mane, it was cold as the grave and sticky as birdlime. He could not let go. The stallion wheeled, plunged, and the water opened like a mouth. They say the rider's scream lasted 3 heartbeats on the surface, then nothing. At dawn, his bonnet floated in, still tied beneath the chin. The Garin stood on the shore, and would not drink from that loch again. Yet beauty is only half the song. The other half is fate. Local men toiled by the River Conon's ford, when the midday sky turned black as pitch, and a voice rumbled from the deep like grinding stones. The Kelpie rose in its true shape, a jet-black stallion with eyes of burning peat, roaring its dark promise. The hour is come, but not the man. They dragged a rushing rider from his beast to cheat the water's claim, locking him tight within the heavy stone walls of the kirk. He had time for one laugh at their old superstitions before the silence closed over him. When the hour struck, they opened the doors to find him dead, drowned face down in a mere stone trough of water. And the river ran fatter. His horse stood waiting by the graveyard wall for 40 years. And every anniversary, the river mist crept higher than it should, as though combing the mane. Children vanish fastest. Their laughter carries farthest over still water. A little boy chasing a red ball near a reedy Highland ford once saw the Kelpie grazing like an ordinary foal, soft as thistledown. He walked up to stroke its neck. His mother found the ball floating hours later, spinning slowly, perfectly clean. She screamed until her throat bled, but the river only gave back echoes. The Kelpie keeps the bright ones longest, they say, for laughter carries far beneath black water. Still some escape. A clever lass on the banks of the Conon once felt the sticky mane close around her wrists and, instead of pulling away, leaned in and whispered the oldest binding words her granny taught her. The Kelpie shuddered, screamed like tearing metal, and flung her onto the bank, half drowned but alive. She bore the mark of its grip on her arms until the day she died. 5 pale scars where no human hand had touched her. She never went near water again, yet every storm she woke smiling, because she had beaten the unbeaten thing. And the Gael answer back. They see the Kelpie's shape in old stones and river mist, head thrown high, mouth open in eternal song, and they keep iron at the door, rowan in the boat, and old warnings on the tongue. They teach their children, never take a lift from a horse that appears from nowhere. Never follow a song that has no singer. Never trust beauty that watches you more than you watch it. They cast a piece of cold iron into the water, spit into the palm, and turn the boat sunwise. They bind red thread to a twig of rowan on the bow, and pull the right oar first to keep the course true. They remember, because the Kelpie is older than kindness and older than warning. It was here when the ice left and the first rivers ran. It will be here when the last croft falls into the heather and the last boat rots. But until that day, the waters keep their hunger, and the Gael keep their defiance. They sing of drowned riders and lost children, of sticky manes and burning eyes, and in the singing they bind the thing that cannot be bound. They turn terror into story, story into shield, shield into pride. The mist still coils, the water still listens, and somewhere, beside the black mirror of 100 hidden pools, the Kelpie waits, beautiful, patient, hungry. Walk softly by the shore at twilight. Listen for hoofbeats that come from under the water. And if you hear a song that makes your feet move though your heart says stay, run. Run until the heather tears your knees and the rowans close behind you. Because the Kelpie never tires, and the water never forgets. This is the school of the Kelpie, the water horse whose beauty is a blade and whose love is death. It is the current that pulls, the song that drowns, the mirror that shows you what you most desire just before it takes you. Yet the gales still walk the shores, still fish the waters, still sing louder than the silence beneath, because we were born knowing the price of wonder, and still we sing beside the dark. Is mise on Seanchaidh, and this is Thistle and Stone. Cuimhnich. 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 Fáilte. Gu. Cuimhnich. The memory lives. Until next time. Cuimhnich.